Now we have a keynote fireside chat between Kapil Bose, Global Brand Director, Lysol, Reckitt, and Satyajit Sen, Head of Product and Community, ET Brand Equity. Welcome, gentlemen. Over to you, Satyajit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this keynote fireside chat on the disinfectant category and how this disinfectant category is translating consumer sentiment is into business using digital tools. The last 2 years, we have been through a pandemic and we have seen the demand rise in terms of disinfectant category is concerned. Now, marketing a disinfectant business isn't a very simple game. To get noticed, brands need to invest time, energy, resources, and a lot of innovative marketing solutions in a marketplace that is constantly shifting towards accommodating the growing consumer demands. Now, as we speak about consumer demands, right, we have seen in the last 2 years, consumers have really become health conscious. They have been choosing on to the disinfectant category as their go-to product whenever it comes about hygiene and health. Today, in this panel, we have Mr. Kapil Bose, Global Brand Director from Lysol Racket, who will help us understand how this disinfectant category has successfully translated the changing consumer demands into business by using digital tools. So welcome, Kapil, and thank you so much for taking out time and helping us and our audiences understand this disinfectant category better. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Satyajit. Yeah, I'll say the COVID has actually redefined the context of cleaning. So disinfection as a category, you can broadly say it's the cleaning category. It has, over the last 2 years, it has actually redefined the context of cleaning. It elevated the daily cleaning regime, which generally every household has, and made disinfection, sanitization, sterilization, these terms, more integral part of consumer hygiene habits. Yeah. To give you a background, at the start of the pandemic, it's like consumers are nothing else are like people like you and me, and we must have also gone through the same journey. So at the start of the pandemic, everybody were anxious. People were anxious. This every negative little bit cue in the news make us more concerned about it, right? We were mostly in a reactive mode. So whatever was happening, we are listening to it, the stimulus is there. And as a result, that anxiousness, what it led to is adopting the intensive cleaning regimes. It accelerated the adoption. There were loyalists, there were people who are having a stringent routine, and there are many people who don't have the stringent routine. So the intensive cleaning behavior, which was part of some households, became part of many households. Yeah. So people were reactive, but slowly, when the pandemic prolonged, the reactive nature actually turned into a more of a proactive nature. What do I mean by proactive nature is the fact that people started thinking that this is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do to keep my family safe. And they also got used to the fact that there is additional work per se when you do, but that additional deep clean, which you will be doing, has a reward attached to it when they used to see that there is nobody sick in the family. That was the reward mechanism. And people were much slowly, people, that became the norm. You must have heard this. Everybody is saying the term that's the new norm. But people started calibrating the expectations, how much effort they should put where and what the expectation in return. And it became the norm that deep cleaning, intensive cleaning is kind of needed. It's the right thing to do. So today, as they say, it's been 2 years of the pandemic, from a reactive to proactive measure. And when things become proactive and people become more used to, when they can see the effort and the reward ratio, the chances of it sticking as a habit, it becomes much more stronger. So today, the consumer, it is getting into it is almost a habit of cleaning. Disinfection, sanitization has found their way into, or deep cleaning has found their way into a daily regime. And also consumer is much more aware now. They are much more aware of the germ threats. They are much more aware of the products. Now, I would say that this awareness, it's a kind of a output of two things. First thing is obviously what's happening in the say in the world with the pandemic going on, and we are reading so much news, data, knowledge, information about different kind of variants, different ways of protecting ourselves. And also, as a matter of fact, the industry players and along with the government have been accelerating this, or rather disseminating this information, making people more educated about it. That's kind of is the context currently, where the elevated knowledge of consumers, be from the industry players, from government, from various sources, media, plus the 2 years which they have spent adopting to a first as a threat, and then adopting that as a change in their own household, has now defined this category in a very new way. You can say it's a new light in which we can see the category now. And if that answers to your question properly.
Of course. And thanks for setting up the context so beautifully, because that is how, we have also observed consumers change so as to this disinfectant / cleaning category is concerned. So, this, reactive to proactive journey of a consumer, right, that you mentioned, has it been like a constant feature or a constant consumer characteristic across geographies? Because you have been seeing this category evolve across the world, right? So, what has been your assessment on that?
Yeah, look, different geographies, every culture, every geography has had different nuances. They are also the way the COVID has panned out and the way the countries have reacted to it. In the space, mostly the way the countries have reacted in whatever pace, makes consumers a little bit different overall from one geography to other. Yeah, but overall the trend is very much the similar. It's very much similar. I will rather say the difference is in the rate of adopting and the new changes in the daily cleaning regime, but for sure it has reflected upon pan across globally.
Correct. Yeah. So, when it comes to this category as such, and across the globe, we have seen growth in the demand of this category, right? What kind of product innovations have really caught your has really caught your attention in terms of taking the consumer feedback in mind and generating it into a wholesome product?
Firstly, let me give you a little bit of a background of disinfection, or say cleaning. Disinfection per se in US market is regulated. Yeah, it's a regulated market. So there are, on an innovation, say, pipeline, or in terms of innovation, during the COVID, for any player to pivot and make a product which is different as per the requirement is almost not possible, because everything needs to go for has a registration timeline of 2 to 3 years. Before that, they consume the industry players also, the companies also needs to have the R&D and the backup to react to it. So it is almost not possible to come back with products which were not being thought of, and it's only an outcome of COVID, especially in this category. But saying that, what I'll rather say that when we were any companies, for example, in display, are making products, and the first category truth of the products in disinfection is germ kill. Now, when we say germ kill, a germ kill is, it's invisible, right? It's a product where you're marketing something which consumers do not see. So basically, consumers are trusting on the brands to deliver what they're promising. So it's a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility for the marketeers, first to make the promise and then to make sure that what they are promising, they deliver. Yeah. So as the truth of the category, and the category truth is of efficacy, which is you need to deliver on germ kill. And the germ threats, as you also must is seeing, the germ threats is evolving. It's evolving in nature. So when it's an evolving nature of the threat, the product, the promise you offer to the consumer needs to similarly evolve. So innovation in this category means that the efficacy which you're promising has to evolve and has to encompass all the upcoming threats. That's sacrosanct. Yeah, that's sacrosanct. So first truth of efficacy delivery needs to happen. So all of the players, if you see, if you have followed the category, and you must have followed the category, must have seen that everybody is going for that. Okay, if there is a new threat, is my product able to tackle that threat? Yeah, and that's the continuous innovation which needs to happen in this category. That's the first part, right? So as I said, efficacy is the truth, and efficacy cannot be compromised. That's the reason the product exists. And if efficacy is there, consumers do not understand, or rather they understand germs as broadly germs. So which are the tough germs, which are the non-tough germs, which are easy to kill, which are difficult to kill. Their belief and their trust is, if I use a product which is a reputed product, which my mom always use, will kill all of it, or will protect me from all of it. So that truth needs to be there. That's why continuous innovation in terms of tackling any germs which are new and new threats is the first priority of the category, and should be the first priority. Saying that, there are trends, as they in marketing say, trends are your friends. So trends are there, and pandemic, what it has done, it has actually accelerated adoption of these trends in many fields. It's just not in consumer habits, it's on trends which used to be there and consumer people were thinking about would be big in 4 or 5 years. They might have accelerated it in a year or so. Same with the digitization, same with e-commerce. You must have seen in many fields. It has accelerated the adoption rates of many categories. Similarly, there are few trends which we see in cleaning per se, overall cleaning, like sustainability, like natural. Sustainability is coming out as core because consumers have started understanding the fact that it was always there. Now, with more so, we can see that consumers are reflecting upon the fact that if it is good for the earth, if it is good for the community, if it is good for the planet, it should be good for me. And vice versa. I should be doing something which is good for the planet, good for the community, then it is good for me. So sustainability will become is coming very strongly as one of the trends, and I feel that it's one of those things which can become a norm. Similarly, compaction and sustainability are connected in a way, but it is also not connected in a way. If in markets like developing markets, you will see compaction existed long back, where there was pouches and they used to you put pores in the bucket and dilutables. Yeah, compaction used to be there and the refill streams used to be there. But the compaction narrative in DVM markets, especially, is related to value. Compaction was not seen more from the point of view of plastic reduction. It was mostly seen as a value delivery mechanism. Now, compaction, yes, it gives more value, but it's also is seen in the narrative of plastic reduction, which is interesting. And if you've seen most developed markets, the refill as a concept never used to exist. It was generally more convenience, which takes priority in the narrative. But now compaction, sustainability in terms of the narrative of good for me, good for climate, good for earth, is getting traction. If I say on the big trends of, there are a few more trends which we can discuss about, that's not mostly in terms of product, but it's more about experience. So it's not the juice, but how you deliver the juice. Yeah, consumers like convenience, and like while things are convenient, the experience is easy. If you remember, especially from my days in India, say for example, the pest category earlier used to be sprays. In the 80s, people used to pour those sprays and they used to spray. From the time to getting to pluggies, it's also migration of convenience because people do not have that much time. This is I'm just putting up say an example which is quite a drastic change. Similar changes have happened across, in all categories. How you deliver, when I use the product, from opening the product to using the product to after use, or this whole consumer journey is kind of more important now. So if I contextualize with disinfection, in disinfection, how we spray, what's the way of spraying, what after spraying, what is the proof I leave with the consumer of germ kill in terms of fragrance experience, in terms of the experience which can linger for long, are those areas where consumers now emphasize, and as a result, marketers need to respond.
Correct. So you basically you helped us understand the how product innovations are actually linked to how the consumers are thinking, and what the consumers are expecting out of a particular category, right? So you mentioned about sustainability. You mentioned about the responsibility that brands in this category have while catering to the consumers. So let's talk about the marketing bit here. And since we are talking about digital marketing at large, how do you see digital marketing helping, this category, take that message of responsibility, cleanliness, hygiene, out effectively to the consumers, and also help in business? I mean, at the end of the day, the business line is what it matters, right? So how do you see digital helping you or helping a brand in this category on those fronts?
Yeah, so basically, what is digital?
Mhm.
Digital is a medium which you and me consume on a daily basis.
Correct.
So the lines of offline and online are getting blurred.
Right.
So what I do, and if you look at a consumer nowadays, even for that matter, kids, they are open to multi-screen environment.
Mhm.
And multi-screen environment and mobiles and
Mhm.
iPads, OTT, this all basically is digital.
Right.
And there is no current, though we in terms of media space talk about offline, online, we talk about TV spending, digital spending, but I feel the lines are blurred, and the lines are blurring fast. And if the lines blur fast, then there is no category, or won't be anything which is immune of the fact that I cannot be digital centric, or this digital is different than what I do on a business as usual, because digital is business as usual. So that's first. And that's while you contextualize digital like that, what it means is it's it is not why there is a separate set of people for which you will have a separate set of innovation. These are the people. Those are my consumers. The consumers are not sitting in one bucket and another bucket, and they are hopping from one to another. That's not happening. Earlier days in classical marketing, we used to say the adoption curve and the early adopters are into digital. There are none left. So there is nothing called early adopters are on digital and they need to be targeted differently. That's how consumers are, and that's why I believe that there is nothing which we as marketeers should differentiate, that digital and offline and online are different to reach consumers, and as a result there are different insights. Yes, there are few realities which might be different. What are those realities? The realities which are different is in e-commerce per se. If I look at just channel, which you might heard about the term, which has been used nowadays, is of omnichannel. Yeah.
Right.
So what is omnichannel? Omnichannel is all the things integrated together. It's a convergence of channel, right? It's the convergence of channels. So you go to a store, which is a physical store, but at the same time you're checking on your mobile and you want to talk about the product, know about the product, or you want to get a coupon on the product. It's all happening seamlessly. Yeah. So that's basically omnichannel, and omnichannel is nothing per se. It's kind of a fancy term telling that, okay, this is the offline and online are integrated. You and me are living in that world. They are integrated. Right? You cannot live without now saying that these are two different things. And that gives a kind of a challenge to the marketeer, how you reach and how you talk to consumers. That's the challenge. That's the only way we as a marketeer needs to evolve, saying the metrics and the ways. So rather the ways of reaching consumers and the metric of evaluation might be changing. And it might keep on changing, because there is another term which is very much used, is efficiency. It's efficiency to reach, efficiency to convert. I'll rather say that gives us a challenge, and that also gives us I will say an advantage, that it is not anymore about the big companies with their media spending can outshout a small company. It's more about the brand, the purpose of the brand, and the meaningful way you create a relationship with the consumer that will decide what the consumers pick. So what the challenge leads to in this new age digital world, though it is no more, you might have heard that the acceleration in terms of adoption of digital or e-commerce, it's like people were thinking that it will happen after 10 years, has actually happened in 1 year. So it's so much so, and it's so much robust, and it's that people need to react. And what is basically happening, which many marketeers say as a challenge, is marketeers are not able to cope with the rate of adoption what the consumers are showing. So the way we need to adopt ourselves in terms of making our story, reaching to the consumer and telling them that and making a connection with them, we are lagging the curve. And sometimes that's why these terms sounds like jargons, or sound like something which I do not know. But if you try to just go a level above, it's all the same. It's the way the only thing which has changed is the way you reach it and how personalized you reach it. Look at the broad spectrum right now in, say, in India and in, say, across the world, about how the DTC companies have emerged.
Yes.
Why? Because they are having much more meaningful conversation,
Mhm.
maybe to a lesser group of consumers, but that captive consumers, they are reaching and talking with the product in a much more meaningful way, much more personalized way. This is the time of hyper personalization. Yeah, this is hyper. Earlier there used to be targeting and hyper targeting. Now we can also say targeting, and beyond targeting, it is about hyper personalization. It is about one-to-one communication, and your product curtailed to that one to, or rather, I will say not curtailed, but your product as part of the narrative through that one-to-one personalization. That is what's gonna happen, and it's happening. It's already happening. It's not something which is distant future. It's already happening, and the big companies need to react. I'll rather say marketeers need to adopt. Consumers are adopting at a faster pace now.
Great. I think you summed it up well. So before we really come to a end of the discussion and take a and make an attempt to bring out the key key takeaways from this. One last question that I would really want to pose to you, is that how do you see? So we have so there was a I mean before the pandemic there was a way this category, right, this cleanliness disinfectant category was growing. There was a certain path for this growth of this category, and then the pandemic came, and then it was like kind of a disruption that we saw in this category. Now hopefully the pandemic is behind us. I'm still saying that hopefully it's behind us. Now how do you see the future of this category, I mean across the world, leave about only about India, it's across the world. How do you see this category growing?
Look, we went through a phase of pandemic, and that created the relevance of cleaning. And as I
Mhm.
said, and as I said at the start, it contextualized the cleaning category in a different way. It
Right.
redefined it, and it has made consumers to change the habit. Now, what you're basically asking, if I try to re-articulate what you're trying to ask, is the future of the category. Uh, will it be as accelerated as it's been last 2 years,
Right.
or the future of the category would come down to a pre-pandemic consumer behavior,
Right.
where it was not at a heightened, say, significance on the daily regime? Definitely, the stimulus of pandemic has accelerated the consumer behavior. It has put into their consideration that there is a threat to my family and I need to act. And it started with that. When the threat goes, the alertness will obviously go down. So it will not be, say, consumers do not want to live in fear, and uh, rightly so, they should not be living in fear. And pandemic goes, the fear aspect of daily cleaning should die down. What if it should impact? It might not. It might impact on the frequency, yeah, of how they're reacting and how ferociously they react to the threat on a daily basis. But the habit of cleaning or deep cleaning as a right thing to do will stay. And players in this category, now the responsibility or the onus is on the players in the category to make this I will say this cleaning regime
Mhm.
as more convenient, more rewarding, more experiential on a for the consumers, so that they don't see is as a, say, uh, what do you say, they don't see it as something which is forced upon them, but sees it more like the right thing to do, which I enjoy to do. If it comes into the narrative that it becomes so easy and enjoyable, as a result, the risk reward ratio or the reward which they are seeing does not need so much effort. It will be a prolonged habit and it will be sustained. What we should be very, very mindful as a marketeer is everybody knows, or every consumer, every person, people like you and me know that it is of utmost importance to protect the family. It is of utmost important that you do not want to fall sick, and no one is sick at the home. But there is a reality of life. There are 100 things a person needs to do. You need to go out of the house. You will need to take care of your child. And you need to manage the balance in your life. So if you can deliver what they want by offering them something which is conveniently done, can be enjoyable, then they understand the reward and they stick to the habit which they are into. And that is, I think, the onus is on the marketeers to give that kind of an experience to consumer, because the reward is there and everybody wants it.
Great. I think on that note, we really want to sum this session up. Thank you so much, Kapil, for taking out time and making us and our audiences help us understand this category better. Because as you rightly said, this is more becoming, it was a habit, and now it has become to, has to become a part of consumers' lives. And as we see it, in the near future, disinfectant category and cleanliness will be a way of leading a healthy life. So thank you so much, Kapil, on behalf of VT Brand Deputy, for joining us, and thank you our audiences. Stay tuned to VT Brand.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing very valid points and making this conversation interesting and purposeful. Now let's move to the next session. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.